Hey guys, so I want to try something a little bit different, and this is actually a kind of a tag challenge, whatever you want to call it, but it was one that I had started several years ago and then just kind of dropped it. It was actually a Facebook challenge, and it was supposed to be, you were supposed to post pictures with stuff and then explain, and there's a whole list of them, and it's called the 100-Day Challenge. So I thought I would go ahead and pick this back up because I keep going back to it and I keep looking at it and saying, oh, I should really finish that, and oh, I should really do that, and yada, yada, yada. So I figured, why don't I do it kind of in video form? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through this tag challenge, whatever, and do a video on each question. Now, don't freak. I'm not going to do all 100 of them. I can't. There's some here that I'm looking at them on my computer, and there's just some here that I can't really answer, like a picture of the cast from your favorite show. Okay, well, that's fine. That's all fine and dandy, but I don't really have a favorite show, and secondly, there's not much I can talk about as far as a show, so I'm going to skip a couple of them. It is the 100-Day Challenge, but like I said, not going to be 100 videos based on this, but I will post the complete list in the description for every single one of the videos. This way, if you decide that you want to give it a go, and you might be able to answer some of the questions that I can't, you can kind of run with it. So, let's get started. So the question for today is, it is a picture of yourself with 15 facts. So I will post up some pictures of myself, older pictures, so that we can have that lovely little trip down memory lane. And I might include a few, maybe more recent photographs, because I don't have a whole lot of older photographs of myself online. So I will post some photographs as we go. And it says to post 15 facts. So let me go to my other screen, because I can't pull 15 facts about myself off the top of my head. So I had to actually write them down. So we will go through these. Some of them are really, really stupid, and some of them are not as stupid, but still stupid. So my 15 random facts. I've been tased, like with a taser gun, and I did it voluntarily. It was a previous job. I worked at this particular retail establishment, and we sold tasers. And we had the rep show up from the taser company, and he asked if anybody wanted to take the ride to see what it felt like. Two of us dummies stood up and said, "Yeah, me, tase me, tase me." What makes this story even worse was that I was the second person to get tased. I wasn't the first person to get tased. I was the second person to get tased. So I actually stood there and watched somebody else get tased, and then still went ahead and let them do it. But it was awful. It was absolutely awful. If you haven't taken a ride with a taser, I don't recommend it. It's I don't even know how to describe it. They didn't let us hit the ground, and they didn't hit us with, if you've ever seen a taser, there's actually like little hooks that shoot out like that, and they stick into you, and that's where the current travels through. They didn't do that with us. What they did was they actually gator clipped them to our clothes, so that they didn't have to, pull them out or anything. And they also didn't let us hit the floor, because the floor was concrete, and they didn't have any pads or anything. So we had to have somebody hold us, so that we didn't hit the floor, which probably made it even worse, because that's the first thing you want to do is hit the floor. And it's been a long time. It's been quite a long time. It hasn't been quite 10 years, but it's been close. But I can tell you something, I remember it like it was yesterday. That is a sensation you don't forget. So my second one is, I used to work for an armored car company. I actually worked for 2 armored car companies. I stayed for a little over a year with one, and then I went to another company, stayed with them for a little over a year, and then left. You want to talk about a crap job? That was a crap job. Very, very long hours. You'd go weeks at a time without having a day off. I would go weeks at a time without seeing my family that I lived with. Yeah, so it was a crap job. It was high risk, long hours, hard work, extremely low pay. Glad I'm out of that industry, never going back. Okay, number 3 is I can't stand having my hands immobilized. Something that a lot of people have noticed, especially on my other channel, because I have my other channel's kind of a makeup and stuff like that. I don't ever wear fingernail polish, or very rarely. I do wear fingernail polish on the odd occasion, but I rarely ever wear them. As you probably noticed, I don't have any fingernails either. They're very short. I do a lot with my hands, but I can't sit still long enough to let the nails dry. If I do paint my nails, it's got to be that Insta-Dry stuff that dries in like less than a minute, because I cannot stand, like when you go to the nail salon, it takes like 15-20 minutes for that to dry. No, I can't do that. I don't know what my problem is. I can't deal with it. I can deal with it on my feet. I can have any kind of nail polish at all on my toenails, but my fingernails, I can't deal with having my hands immobilized long enough to let it dry. So, as I said, my other channel is about cosmetics and all, and my fourth fact is that I only started wearing makeup full-time a few years ago. And the reason I did that is, I actually explained this on my other channel, so I don't know why I'm doing this here, but I have rosacea, and I worked in sales, and I used to get teased all the time by customers who were a little bit more familiar, because they would be having conversations of, whatever they were talking about, but especially when it got, when the conversations got a little bit more raunchy, they would start teasing me because I was blushing. I wasn't actually blushing. My skin is always red. Some days it's redder than others. And caffeine intake, alcohol intake, heat, all that kind of stuff will affect it. So I actually started wearing makeup to cover it so that people would quit teasing me, because I was actually just kind of getting tired of it. So my fifth one is that when I was younger, high school, college kind of thing, I was sort of one of those goth kids. Not emo, they didn't exist yet. So I was kind of one of those goth kids. I was a 90s goth kid. And I say sort of because I couldn't afford to be a goth. Straight up, I could not afford it. So I was a jeans and t-shirt kind of gal. And I had, I dyed my hair black. And when I got to college, I quit dyeing my hair black. And I still wore the black makeup. And I had the, skulls and bones and, all that kind of stuff. But I quit dyeing my hair black, and I started to bleach, and I will show you a picture. I started to bleach this part of my hair right in here. And I will actually pull out a picture. I will find the picture where it's just bleached, where it had just been freshly bleached, so you can see what it looked like. It was awful. It looked terrible, but I used to do it so that I could put Manic Panic in my hair, and I think I have tried every single Manic Panic that's out there, because I did that for a good 4 or 5 years. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of photographs from that time period, so I've got the one with the fuchsia pink hair, but that's probably about it, unfortunately. I do have a family portrait, someone like a professional family portrait, where my hair was blood red. But I don't have a scanner, so I can't get that one on the video, but that was probably the funniest picture I've ever taken. So my family's all dressed up and everything, and then there I am sitting in the front with this. My mom lent me the sweater, and it was the ugliest sweater in the world. It's like this mustard yellow sweater, and then here's my blood red hair in the front. It was just, oh God. But to this day, I am fascinated with goths. There's a lot of goths that I follow on YouTube, and I like watching their videos because they're more artistic with their makeup now than they used to be. And I don't know, I still kind of dig the music a little bit, not a lot, but I dig it a little bit. And I like seeing what they're doing with their makeup and stuff like that. I don't know, I'm still fascinated with goths. So there's like a whole bunch of them that I watch on YouTube. And I feel like a complete outsider, but I watch them anyway. So my sixth fact is around the same time period. This is borderline embarrassing. I actually owned and operated 47 separate websites. And it was like, the Angel Fire stuff. I had fan sites, and I had, what did I have? I know I had fan sites for bands. I had a couple of those. I had one that I think now would be considered a blog. But back then, they didn't really do blogs. Like, that wasn't really a thing. But now it would be considered a blog. And I think I had one about politics. I still have one about politics, but it's not the same blog. I don't even know what they were all about. At this point, I just don't even remember anymore. But I actually owned and operated and built, like, from scratch, like, hand wrote all the code for about 47 different websites. So, number 7 is I used to have my nose pierced. My father hated that. That was, that to the day he died, he hated the fact that I had ever had my nose pierced. But you could probably see, I don't know if you guys can see this lump on the side of my nose here is actually the scar from my nose ring. And I don't ever discuss it, and I probably should have brought that up because it is unfortunately it's a prominent feature on my face. I am prone to keloiding. So when I got my nose pierced, I got this keloid on the side of my nose. Well, the nose ring is long gone. The nose ring's been out since the early 2000s, but the keloid never disappeared. And that drove my father up the wall. He hated that because he thought when I took it out that the keloid would disappear, and it didn't. It's a scar. It's just something I have to live with now. But I got that done. I don't even remember. It was 18 or 19, I guess, when I got my nose pierced. And I actually had to take it out when I was almost done working for the second armored car company. I made it through the first company with it, and when I was at work, I had like a very small, like what they call a screw, and it was literally like a small stud with what looked like a corkscrew that you would screw into your nose, but it was the smallest little thing, and I used to keep that in for work. And I made it through the first company with it. Nobody ever said anything. And I made it most of my time through the second company. And then we had, I forget if he was the district manager or who he was. I forget who it was, but it caught the light just right and he noticed it. And he told me to take it out. So I tried to keep up with it for a while, and I tried to keep putting it back in when I got home from work. But with that job, there was plenty of times where we would get home and we had to be back at work like an hour and a half later. It was that kind of a situation, so I slept at work. So it got to the point where it was just, I wasn't remembering to put it back in when I got home, and it eventually just closed up. Okay, number 8 is I used to dye my hair with Manic Panic. I already touched on that when I did the goth thing, so we'll count it, but I'm obviously not going to talk about it again. 9 is I actually have a bachelor's degree. I never really had a chance to do anything with it. I tried, and I actually, don't laugh at me, it was, it was the early 2000s, it was like 2003. I actually have a journalism degree, and I never used it. I don't know why. I was living at the time, I was living in an area where I probably could have, but once I graduated college, I immediately followed my family down to North Carolina. And there's not a whole hell of a lot going on down here as far as the need for media and stuff like that. And I never moved out because, family gets sick and things like that, and you end up kind of staying at home. But I never actually used my journalism degree. And I gotta be honest with you, I wish I could. Because the older I get, the more I realize that it probably was. I kick myself a lot for picking that. And I know people start laughing and everything when you turn around and you say, oh yeah, I have a journalism degree. But I'm very, very into politics, and I'm very into current events. And when things are happening, I constantly want to be there. Things like that. And it was, for a person like me, it was the right course to go. And I probably should have gotten into the field, and I would still like to get into the field. But I don't know how to get into it, to be completely honest with you, especially at my age now. I don't have any clue how to get into it. I have no experience. I've applied for jobs in journalism, and I can't get them because I have absolutely no experience, and I don't know how to start at this point. So, muddling along, and I'm hoping maybe one day I'll actually get to use it. We'll see. Number 10 is I was actually born and raised in New Jersey. I was actually born in New Jersey, and we lived in Staten Island. I don't know how that worked. Apparently, I was born in a hospital in New Jersey, but we actually lived in Staten Island, New York. And I lived there for about 5 years. I have no memories of living in New York. But I lived in New Jersey from the time I was 5 until I was 21. I moved to North Carolina in 2002? Was it 2000? No, it couldn't have been. It had to have been 2003. I think it was 2003 is when I moved down here. I can't even remember. But I'm fairly certain. No, it was 2002, because I'm trying to do this by when I graduated. It was 2002 I moved down here. I had to take extra courses before I could actually graduate from college. So I took them at NC State. So I did come down here in 2002. And that was in May of 2002. I was up in the area for 9/11, and I was actually close enough that I actually watched it from my front porch at the time. So, but yeah, I came down several months after 9/11. So, but yeah, I was born and raised in New Jersey. No, I don't miss it. Not at all. And I'm sorry if anybody watching this is from New Jersey. I'm really sorry, because I know people from New Jersey really love the state. But there's one or two. It's either you really love New Jersey or you really hate New Jersey, and there's really no in between. I have never met anybody who lived in New Jersey and said, it was okay. No, it was either, oh my god, I love New Jersey, oh my god, I can't stand it, holy crap, and I'm on the, oh my god, I can't stand it, holy crap side. So, I hated New Jersey. It was my goal in life was to get out of New Jersey. I am out of New Jersey, and I don't even go back to visit, so. Number 11 is I used to work in a gun store. Again, I actually used to work in 2 gun stores. I spent almost 5 years in one, then they went out of business. And I always used to crack jokes because I went to the second store immediately after. I guess I was out of work for about a month when I went to the second store. And I used to make jokes with the customers because the guy who owned the second gun store went into the first gun store to buy their display cases when they shut down. And I keep on... I used to tell all the customers that he went in and bought the case and they threw me in for free. Because we had a lot of customers that were coming over. They're going, hey, did you used to work at? And I'm like, yeah, I did. But, you know, but yeah, it was the first place for most of the time I was there. They had a firing range. So I worked somewhat on the firing range, but I was mostly a salesperson. That's the place where I got tasered. And the second place, at the time, they didn't have a firing range. He has one now, but I didn't work there when he had it. So, but yeah, that was a fun job. I met a lot of interesting people there, and I gotta be honest with you, a lot of people that I'm friends with now down here are customers from the gun stores. So it was definitely, yeah, it was an interesting job. I really enjoyed it. I did. And number 12 is I keep trying to write books. I'm very unsuccessful at writing books, but I keep trying to write them. I have done everything from, I've attempted to write romance. I'm really bad at romance. I have tried to write fantasy novels and stuff like that. They were cheesy. I actually am published. I had a short story got published several years ago in a book, and we're not going to talk about that. It was it was an erotic story. We'll put it at that. But apparently it was good enough that I actually got paid money for it. But somebody bought it. It is actually in a book. I have several copies of it, in case people don't believe me. But yeah, and I didn't even use a pen name. I actually used my own name. So yeah, if you can find that, good luck. It was one of these little, it was a collection book, and all the stories in the book are pretty much similar. You know, it's the same. They're all erotica. But, yeah, apparently it was good enough that they decided to publish it, but I can't see myself writing an entire book like that. I'm not sure I could control myself long enough, because I'd be giggling my head off the entire time, because let's face it, I'm still like a 12-year-old, so. Number 13 is I used to smoke cigarettes. I did. Unfortunately, quite heavy and for a very long time. I started smoking when I was 10. And my first pack of cigarettes came out of a vending machine. So it was a vending machine in a hotel, and I believe we were on vacation in Gettysburg. I think. I could be really wrong about that, but I did get my first pack of cigarettes when I was 10 years old out of a vending machine. And I smoked until 5 years ago. I stopped smoking, and I know it's point of contention, but I now use an electronic cigarette, and I have been using this for several years, and I have a lot of people that ask me, they say, well, you use this now, and you've been using it for several years, why haven't you just stopped using it? Because I enjoy it. I enjoyed smoking, and I enjoy vaping. So that's pretty much it. Now, I'm not one of the vapors who pushes everybody who smokes to switch over. I just don't do that. I know a lot of them do. I'm not one of those people. It's what I choose to do. If you choose to do it, great. If you have questions, I'll answer them. But I'm not going to push anybody to do it because I don't agree with doing that. You quit when you feel like quitting, if you want to quit. Everybody knows it's bad for you, you know, and I'm sure there's probably something that they're going to find with vaping and everything. It's going to, you know, your head's going to explode when you hit the age of 50 or something, whatever it is. But I enjoy it. It's my one vice. You know, it's a vice, but, you know, I just, everybody needs to have a vice, so there's mine. Number 14 is I actually used to co-own a business. I actually am starting a business right now, but I'm, you know, the sole owner of the store. But when I was 19 years old and going to college full-time, I did co-own a metaphysical bookstore. Which was a witchcraft store, for those who are wondering what the heck metaphysical means. We sold mostly books, and I had actually worked at the place prior, and they were getting ready to shut it down, and me and this other young lady bought the place. We're not friends anymore. I don't recommend going into business with somebody. We don't talk anymore. We did not end the business as friends. So it lasted, I guess, 9 months. Was about all it lasted, but we gave it a good run. We gave it a try. It was a lot of fun. We got really, really lucky. We had friends who were willing to help us with, you know, passing out flyers, letting people know we were there. The newspaper came and did an article on us, which probably would have helped, except that they posted the wrong address, and it was like really the wrong address. Like they directed people like several blocks away from where we actually were. So that didn't help us out at all. I had a friend who needed the credit for something in school. He had like a work program in school, and he volunteered to work with us as long as, you know, we gave him a grade at the end. He got an A. But it was, you know, it was neat. It was a fun experience, but it was a difficult experience, and we ended up closing down because a guy that we thought was our friend actually robbed us twice. He broke in while we weren't there. I think one of the times was actually on Christmas. He kicked the front door in, cleaned us out, stole a bunch of money, stole a bunch of product, and then apparently holed up in the place for a while watching porn and just having a good time. 2 weeks after that, he came in and did it again. So we ended up having to close the place down because we couldn't afford to run it anymore. And last but not least, number 15, I hate bacon. It's very, very un-American, and a whole bunch of people just gaffed, but I can't even be in the house when it's being cooked. I hate bacon. Hate it. Thanks for hanging in there through this, guys. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I do try to make at least one video every week. I usually fail, but I do try. Also, make sure that you follow my other channel and catch me up on social media, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.